from Mayfield's perspective,
Right.
why would he want Carolina? And I was kicking this around with someone yesterday because I continue to believe that Mayfield has a significant degree of power here. The problem is, at a time when he's not all that well perceived around the league, and we'll get to some of the reaction from at least one player in Carolina in a minute, he's kind of got to go along. That's the thinking, that he can't stomp his feet. He can't make demands. He can't say, I don't want to play for you, or I'm not sure. Well, what's he? Because let's play it out. He can't sit out for a couple of reasons. First of all, he doesn't get his $18.8 million, and it's guaranteed, yes. But if you don't show up, you don't get it. Secondly, he needs to get somewhere where he can have a big year. He needs to rebuild his reputation as a player and as a guy in the locker room.
Yeah.
And if you go in the door at your next team already being the same pain in the ass you were in Cleveland, if not worse, that's not going to help you if your objective is 2023 major contract open market. Like, that's when the Steelers sign him and pay him instead of hoping he finagles a path to Pittsburgh now, if he would even be entertaining that. You're trying to set yourself for next year where you get a big contract on the way in the door with a new team. And to do that, he's kind of got to play along because, frankly, I wouldn't want to go to Carolina. Not with Matt Rule on the hot seat. Ben McAdoo is the best option he could find at offensive coordinator because offensive coordinators with options aren't taking that job when Matt Rule's on the hot seat. But if you're Mayfield, you just got to at some point go make chicken salad and hope it works out.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have the ability or the cushion anymore to just say, "Oh, the hell with it! I'm the number one pick. I'm going to do whatever I want." No, he's you said it right. Forget the reputation on the field. He's got to build his reputation, back as a player in the locker room, and that guy too. Whether it's real or not, people question about, is he a handful in Cleveland? Was he a jerk? Was it hard for the coaches to handle? You wrote articles this weekend. We talked about it last week. A lot of people talk about it because it's odd. Everybody in the NFL thinks it's weird that nobody in Cleveland has stuck up for Baker Mayfield ever since crap hit the fan midway through the year with Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, nobody really has. More people on the Browns said nice things about Odell Beckham Jr. than Baker Mayfield. So to your point, he can't do that. You're right. That's a big roll of the dice to act like I'm not going to go here and I'm going to go to this place. It's just going to turn that many more people off to him for, that opportunity like you're talking about in 2023. And then when you get down to the teams, Lions, Panthers, Seahawks, I mean, none of them are going to be perfect. Yeah, the Panthers have issues. You're right. But the Panthers do have talent like we've talked about. So there is something there to that aspect of it, to where you go, all right, well, you can go there and probably have some talent and make some plays, and
you can talk yourself into it.
I know you could.
If that's your destination, if that's where it's moving, you can talk yourself into it if you're Baker Mayfield.
Definitely. Over the Lions or even the Seahawks, right? The Seahawks, you're going to look at it and go, well, I mean, they had Russell Wilson. Look what Shane Waldron and them did. That was boring and as average as anything. So it's not like he's going to look at that and go, oh, wow, I can't turn that Seattle offense down. Detroit, of course, is a work in progress as well.
I got Christian McCaffrey. I got DJ Moore.
Right.
I'm going to a division where the Falcons aren't very good right now. The Saints, who knows what they're going to be without Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Buccaneers are still the Buccaneers, but it's better than jumping into the NFC West with the 49ers, the Rams, and the Cardinals. So you could talk yourself into it.
You could, yeah.
If that's the team that's – because here's the other side of it too. We heard Baker Mayfield last week with Mike Stud, now known as Mike, period. We heard Baker Mayfield say Seattle's the most likely option. What have we heard to suggest that Seattle is even remotely interested? Now, maybe that the Panthers are emerging as a real player could make Seattle move, because I think Seattle's like, we don't have to do anything. We're just going to sit and wait here. We don't have to let anyone know we're interested in this guy because no one else is. If the Panthers really are, and it seems like they really are, now the Seahawks have to make a move or not. They may just not want him. They may not want to deal with the guy. Hey, think of it this way. They just got finished trading a franchise quarterback who became in kind of a passive-aggressive way a pain in their butt to the point where they threw their hands in the air and traded him. Do they want Baker Mayfield at a time when he could potentially be a pain in their butt, and maybe not passively aggressively, maybe a little more aggressively if he's not getting what he wants, if the offense isn't working, because it's like, hey, I gotta rebuild my career here. Come on, I don't want to run the ball and play defense. And yeah, I think right now, when you look at where the franchise is, where the players are, where the supporting cast is, I don't know. You could talk yourself into the Panthers just the same way you could talk yourself into the Seahawks. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but when you consider the Panthers are in the NFC South, I think you can make just as strong of a case if you're Baker Mayfield to go to Carolina.
I agree.
As you're doing the dance in the mirror and trying to talk yourself into your best option.
I think so.
The Bryan Cranston dance in the mirror and trying to do your best. And that's about Baker's build too, so that would work. He would be doing that dance, convincing himself he's going to look good in Carolina blue.
No matter what we think of Matt Rule, and again, I'm maybe not as negative as the rest of the world is on them down there in Carolina. I think you kind of said it there. I mean, Carolina to me is going in an upward trajectory. And Seattle right now is plateauing or going down, and we're going, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're kind of in the middle of it seemed like they were going to rebuild, and then they put the brakes on. They were like, wait, let's not totally rebuild here, which I will still question, because I've heard rumors of, there's people in Seattle that want to rebuild, but guess what? Pete's like, oh, wait, I'm old. I don't want to wait for all that. I don't want to totally tear it down. I heard that's already, there's talk up there about that. So,
out with the old, in with the new doesn't go over well with a 70-year-old.
Exactly.
Coach.
So, but to your point too, the Panthers again. You look at the defense. You go, well, who's got more talent on defense? Well, it's not even close. Carolina's got young studs everywhere. I mean, big time Pro Bowl. On the cusp of being all pro players. It wasn't a mistake that they were the number 2 defense in football last year. So there are plenty of things to look at, but I think the big thing is what you started it off with. The coach, his butt's on the hot seat for real, and that's not always easy as a quarterback to go, oh, I want to go to that place where it could be totally different next year, no matter how good I do, and I still might not be wanted there. And that's where you got to figure out if it's right for you or not if you're Baker Mayfield.
But in the process of talking yourself into Carolina, you could say, hey, Matt Rule needs me. I need him. We need each other. We both have to prove it. I mean, it's all about how you talk yourself into it. Glass half full versus glass half empty. And you could make a strong case against Carolina. You can make a strong case in favor of Carolina. But the bottom line is, if Carolina is stepping up to the plate at a time when no one seems to be interested in Baker Mayfield. I mean, somebody told me weeks ago that Baker Mayfield needs to be humbled by this process. And there's nothing more humbling than saying, I want to go to the Colts, and they instead trade for the 56-year-old quarterback. and then saying Seattle's the most likely option, and the phone never rings from the Seattle area code. That will humble you quickly. And when you feel like the places you want to go are turning up their nose and slamming the door, all of a sudden those other places look a lot better. Nobody else wants me. Here's one that wants me. I really don't want to play there. But, I'm thinking about 2023. I'm on the Baker Mayfield redemption tour. I'm going to do everything I can to convince everyone that the real me was 2018 and 2020. The aberration was 2019 and 2021. I'm going to have a big year. I'm going to get paid. We've seen it happen time and again. One guy will take a big season and turn it into a big contract. That's what I'm going to do. And that's all great. There's one important caveat, though. I alluded to this briefly earlier. And this is what hit on Friday after the word first started to circulate that the Panthers were interested in Baker Mayfield. Robbie Anderson, Panthers receiver, taking to social media, saying no with a lot of O's as to the possibility of Baker Mayfield going to the Panthers. And then when it was reposted with the headline, Robbie Anderson does not want Baker Mayfield to come to Carolina, the response from Robbie Anderson was facts. So look, that's not good. And I've seen people say, well, but he's just really loyal to Sam Darnold. No, I have a feeling that words get
seems a little deeper than that. Yeah, it seems a little deeper than loyalty.
Yeah, I think he's hearing some things. And it's funny because the photo that we found when we posted it Friday night is Robbie Anderson and Jarvis Landry before a game talking, and Landry's kind of got his mouth covered. And it's like, yeah, people talk, especially guys who play receiver. They work out together. They know each other. Somebody pointed out, and I should have looked this up. I think Rashard Higgins is currently on the Panthers. Is he currently on the Panthers?
I think he is. I believe he is, right.
And he was in Cleveland. So word will get around about if there's not a great feeling about Baker Mayfield, the guy, it's going to get around. And it was enough for Robbie Anderson to come out and say what he said. So at a bare minimum, if the Panthers are going to do this, they better have a sit-down between Robbie Anderson and Baker Mayfield and clear the air and figure this out, because that's not going to be the best way to get everyone on the same page.
Definitely not. I mean, that's not how you want to start out a new relationship there. It was like, oh, yeah, our number 2 receiver who's pretty talented and a big-time player does not want you on the roster and doesn't want you here, and is a fan of the guy that, you're competing with or is going to be the backup. Yeah, you got to clear the air to a degree, but I think it just speaks to that big question that we have about Baker Mayfield a little bit. What exactly is he? How is he exactly viewed through players? There's a lot of rumors out there, and I think, most of them tend to lean towards kind of what we've been talking about. He's not a bad guy, but not the easiest. Not that the guys in the locker room hate him, but I don't think they love him either. And they we've heard enough to know that some of them view him as a pain in the butt too. So this is going to be part of the rehabilitation process of Baker Mayfield's career and image and everything like that. And, what he does on the field and off the field is going to go a long way here.
And you know what? Somebody made another point, too, about Mayfield. If he really wanted to engineer his destination to one specific place, one thing he could do is what Odell Beckham Jr. did last year when he wanted to be released by the Browns. Remember what he did? He gave up money.
Right.
If Mayfield wanted out, he could say to the Browns, okay, instead of 18-8, let's come to an agreement that I'll take half of that and you cut me, or whatever amount and you cut me, and I'll go somewhere else. If he wanted badly enough to pick his next destination, that's and Beckham helped set that precedent, at least from the standpoint of the Browns expecting that.
Yeah.
So and the Browns hold all the cards here, because if they really wanted to, they could just keep him. And yes, it could get ugly and it could get awkward, but that gets back to the point we were making earlier. Baker Mayfield can't afford to be perceived as a jerk as he's getting closer and closer to the open market. He needs to have a strong year. We've said, what would he do if the Browns said, we're just keeping you until we get the trade offer we want? Would he be a pain in the butt? Would he do a press conference every day? Would he say, please release me? Why are you doing this? Or would he just find a way to go along? He's got to be hearing from people close to him, you just have to go along with anything and everything this year. You can't afford to be perceived as a pain in the butt, because no one's going to want you next year if you are.
Yeah, it's delicate, but I can't imagine the Browns wanting that. I mean, again, the Browns, they got enough issues to deal with. Now we're going to deal with, hey, here's Deshaun Watson press conference, here's Baker Mayfield press conference. Hey, back and forth. And I mean, I can't imagine them wanting to be a part of that. So that's where I do think Baker has a little power in the situation. And as we know, too, I mean, the quarterback could just simply say, I don't want to play for that team, and that can ruin that trade, right away. So there is a little power in Baker Mayfield's, corner to a degree. The other thing, too, Mike, when you bring up the money and, maybe cutting a deal Odell Beckham Jr. style, I feel like it would be harder, right, if you're Baker Mayfield, because again, I know this is the number 1 pick, but Odell had seen a few years of big money already. This is the biggest payday Baker Mayfield's got yet. This is a life-changing chunk of money, as compared to, yes, okay, we've made good money the last few years, but now you're making, close to $20 million in a year. You don't know if you're ever definitely going to see a payday that way again. Are you really going to chop, a big chunk of that away to go, ooh, I hope it works somewhere else? I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that if I was Baker Mayfield.
He got $32.7 million for his first 4 years combined with the signing bonus as part of that $32.7 of $21.8. So he did get the big payday on the way in, but that covered all 4 years. He hasn't gotten $18.8 million for 1 year. He got $32.7 total for 4, so that's an average of 8.1, 8.2.
Right.
You're talking $10 million plus more than that this year than he's made any year of his career, and that's a reality of the rookie wage scale. It used to be you would get a lot more. And we're still not even getting I think we're kind of approaching the point where the Sam Bradford and Matthew Stafford deals, dollars for dollars, are about the same as they were when you look at it on an annual average. But the rookie wage scale in 2011 really held back what these guys make. So 18.8 is a lot of money, even though as the quarterback market goes, it's less than half of the general $40 million number that guys are looking at now. Like Derek Carr last week, his average technically new money $40.5 million. So it's still not huge money as quarterbacks go. And again, I'm not saying he should take less money. The point is the precedent was set.
Yeah.
And if he does want out, that's a chip that he would have. I'll take less money.
Yeah, sure.
I'm more concerned about going to where I want to go. And look, there's an argument to be made that would be money well invested in your future.
Yeah, I hear you.
Not that the Browns would trade him to Pittsburgh, even if Baker Mayfield would slash his salary to $2 million. I don't think they would, because I don't think they want him there. But if there's a place where you could go and you could be the starter and you believe you would cement your contract at a very high number for 2023, and you have faith it'll happen, some of that money you give up now could go a long way toward laying that foundation. But that would be tough to do.
These three teams, though. Yeah, that'd be tough to do.
I'd have a hard time doing it.
It's a big roll of dice because there's so many other X factors that determine how you play. That it's not fair, but ultimately will determine how it looks, right? So
I'd say for all I know, this is my last big payday in the NFL.
Exactly.
I'm not giving up a penny.
Exactly. You're almost doubling your worth, right? Of your 4 years. I mean, I know it's not exactly doubling, but you know what I mean. It's close to it. So where it's one where you can go, wait, it's not like the guy that's made $120 million, and you go, well, he would have had 130. There's a difference here. This is a different game to me.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.